Welcome to you, my friends. This is Jean-Michel Grosjeu, and you are watching my 7th video in a series of 7. Yes, at last, this is my last video about Stationfall, Matt Eklund's fantastic and zany game published by Ion Games. And what's left to say after the previous 6 videos? Not so much. The game setup, some special game modes, and most importantly, the use of special bots that can replace 1 or 2 players to enhance your gaming group, and which can even be used to play solo against AIs only. So, without further ado, you know the rules because you've watched all my videos, you're at your game table ready to play, and it's time to set up. So first, a game of Stationfall always begins with characters. The total number of characters depends on the number of players according to this table. From 12 characters for 2 to 4 players to 20 for 9 players. These characters are drawn randomly from the 27 available characters in the game. Of course, players are free to choose their characters instead of drawing them randomly. It's like designing your own scenario, but the usual way to play Stationfall is to draw characters at random. Character cards are set in 2 columns, like on this example. Then players get all identity cards that correspond to these characters. They shuffle them face down and draw 2 cards each. From their 2 cards, each player secretly chooses the identity card that will be his main character, and he keeps the other one as his bonus character. And finally, some characters get items or data at start. In this example, the corpse cycle gets a helmet, the security robot gets a gun, and the microbiologist begins the game contaminated. And that's all for characters. Then, players must set up the game board, the station. First, they set up all the items scattered around the ship. These items are printed on the board. And then, some hazards, the asphyxiation gas in the magnetic containment and the permanent vacuum in outer space. And the 4 regular pods that are attached to the aft airlock section, McQueen, Hail Mary, Alcatraz and Houdini. Note that you must immediately add a helmet in the Hail Mary pod and a damage token because this Hail Mary pod begins the game damaged. Then players set up compromats on the board. There is 1 compromat per character card, all of them are shuffled face down. Then 1 compromat token is put randomly on every purple colored compromat symbol on the board. And that gives 12 compromats. On my example, with 12 characters, these 12 purple symbols are enough. But if you play with 5 players or more, you have still 2 to 8 more compromats to distribute. In this case, you use the green compromat symbols. There are 8 of them, and you put your extra compromat tokens on these green symbols from the bottom to the top of the board. Fine, and now it's time to put all character tokens on the board. The exact section where you must put the token is written on each character's card. And beware, it's time to read every card you'll have in your game because, for example, the maintenance clones use 3 tokens and the corpse cycle starts the game down. Fine, next step. Now you should check character by character if he comes with special items or special tiles. This is written on each character's card, but it's sometimes difficult to read and easy to forget. So, thanks to Jean-Michel Grosjeu, here is a handy player aid with all special tokens and tiles. The billionaire comes with his dog Fletcher in the security station, the boarder with a rescue ship, the botanist with Fang Moss, the carnivorous plant in the hydroponics, and the special feed me action that goes to any character who takes the plant in his inventory. The colonel with his panic pod, the counselor with the shred room, the daredevil with a rocket wings in the physics lab, and a new rocket wings launch action attached to the outer space. the digital assistant with the new action in the mainframe and a new lockdown console action, the drones with their remote control console action, the engineer with the new reactor section capability, the inspector with their shuttle, the legal robot who flips 3-pod style to add a new prerequisite to the launch action, the station chief with her medevac pod, and finally the troubleshooter with her cargo claw. In our example, we add Fletcher the dog in the security station because the billionaire is in play. We flip 3 pods because the legal robot is in play. The Daredevil adds her rocket wings in the physics lab and her special action in the outer space. And finally, the engineer changes the reactor's capabilities. Okay, we are almost done. Now it's time to add the turn marker. It shows the number of turns for this game and it depends on the number of players. It's 13 turns for a 4-player game, for example. Next step, you must put the station facilities in their original condition. Cameras and jammers are on, power is normal with no damaged power section, and the abandoned ship status is green. Pods cannot be launched. And finally, all locks can be added, only 2 in our example. Next, a re-entry token is randomly drawn, 1 out of 3. It will decide at Stationfall if players play 1 more turn or not. This token is put on the turn 0 box and that's when it will be revealed. And finally, 1 Project X card is drawn, 1 out of the 8 possible cards. It is kept secret, of course, face down. And voila, our game of Stationfall is ready to play. You'll find this screen in my player aids that you can download from the Board Game Geek page. Now let's jump to our next topic. Stationfall is a game designed for a reasonably large number of players, let's say 4 or more. But still, it can be played with a lesser number of players as long as some slight changes are made. In a 3-player game, each player draws 3 identity cards at the beginning of the game, chooses 1 main character and keeps 2 bonus characters. A Schrödinger reveal is still possible, as you remember, but in this case, the player must discard both remaining cards. He only keeps his new main character. And that's all. That's how you play Stationfall with 3 players. And then, before going on with the 2-player game, we must first look at another special game mode, the team game. In this variant, players play in teams of 2, always 2. This means that the overall number of players must be even. Then, each team draws 3 identity cards, 3 for 2 players. Both players from the same team choose 1 main character each, and the last card is their common bonus character. They share the same bonus character. So, both players from a team play their own color, but knowing the other player's identity and the shared bonus character. And that's pretty much it. Players play the game as usual, and in the end, players from the same team add both their victory points plus their bonus characters to get their overall team score. The best team wins. There can be no Schrödinger reveal in this game mode. During the game, players play their colors as in a normal game. Just note that it's better if players sit around the table in such a way that each team plays in turn as a 3-player cycle. And now we can talk about the 2-player game because it is like a 4-color team game when each player plays 2 colors. So each player draws 3 identity cards, chooses 1 main character for each of the 2 colors he will play, and the last card is his bonus character. 2 main and 1 bonus characters per player. Then, during the game, players play both their colors, 1 by 1, as if they were playing 2 different players, 2 different conspiracies. The game provides special turn markers to help manage this 2-player game cycle. In this example, this is turn 5, and player A plays his red conspiracy. He plays with red cubes and his red activation token. He can even reveal his red main character, but in no case may he play his yellow pieces. When his red turn is over, he moves his red turn marker to the next turn, and it's now player B's turn as blue player. And when blue's turn is over, it's up to player A again, but with the yellow pieces now, and with the yellow main character's conspiracy. And finally, player B plays the purple conspiracy. And when the turn is over, because all these tokens are double-sided, you just flip the whole stack and you're ready to play the next turn with the same player order. And that's it. As in the team game, players' scores at the end of the game are the sum of their two colors plus their bonus character. There can be no Schrödinger reveal. Both players must just pay attention not to mix their two colors. When player A plays with his red characters and pieces, he plays as if he were an all-red player. The only exception being the compromats. Player A keeps and plays his compromats whether he has earned them by playing red or yellow. Okay, but all that being said, this game wasn't designed for a small player count, and that's why there are special rules that introduce fully automated players. Why play 2 or 3 players when you can just add as many bot players as you want? And instead of playing with the 2-player rule with 2 colors each, you can just play a standard 4-player game with 2 real players and 2 bots. And thanks to bots, you can even play solo with as many opponents as you want. And so, this is the setup of your game, and you decided to play a 4-player game alone with 3 bots. Each bot player gets his own color, and from the outside they look exactly like real players. Then, as the only human around the table, I just unfold the standard setup process. 4 players, I draw 12 character cards, then the identity cards, 2 cards for me, the real player. A real player always draws 2 identity cards as usual, but only 1 identity card for each bot. As a real player, I pick at my cards and choose my main and bonus characters. Note that when making my choice as a real player, I don't know yet what characters will be bots. Bots' identity cards stay face down. Fine. I choose the Daredevil as my main character and the Security Robot as my bonus character. I keep them face down as long as I don't choose to reveal. Then, bots' identities are revealed. Bot 1 will be the Astro Chimp, bot 2 the Station Chief, and bot 3 the Colonel. Because I chose red, blue, yellow, purple at the player order, it doesn't fit the bot numbers very well, so from now on, we will call them blue bot the Colonel, yellow bot the Astro Chimp, and purple bot the Station Chief. All bots' identities are revealed at the beginning of the game, and thus, real players will know them. The bots' character cards are flipped to their bot side, and they each put their reveal token on them. Beware, the bot side of character cards is quite different from their regular side. Let's take the Astro Chimp as an example. He is not loyal anymore, and that's because as a bot he is revealed from the beginning of the game, so no player can put influence cubes on his cards, so the loyal capability is useless. He is 0 born instead, of course. That's because being revealed he gets his acrobatics capability from start, and as a bot he has an influence limit of 8. All bots have an influence limit of 8. Bots never lose victory points because of influence cubes. But the most important difference between bots and real characters is their victory points. Look, a regular Astro Chimp played by a real player can at best hope for 9 victory points, while its bot counterpart can earn up to 16 victory points. This is a huge advantage that you have to keep in mind. Okay, bots are not as smart as human players, but they earn far more victory points, and your main goal when playing against them is to make sure they don't reach their own goals. And that's all. The rest of the game setup is the same as usual, and tada, you are ready to play against these 3 bots. Okay, fine, you're ready to play, but how does it work? First, like real players, bots have their own influence cubes. And at the beginning of the game, they put 2 cubes each on the 3 characters that follow them on the characters tableau. The characters' order in the tableau is left to right, top to bottom. So, for example, at game setup, the Astrochimp had 2 cubes on the Stranger, 2 on the Consort, and 2 on the Daredevil. The Daredevil is my main character, but it's fine, as in a regular game, bots don't know my identity and can include my own character into their conspiracy. Bluebot, the Colonel, does the same, but he skips the Astrochimp because being revealed as Yellowbot, the Astrochimp cannot be influenced anymore. The Stranger and the Consort belong to both Yellow and Blue conspiracy, and that's okay. And finally, Purplebot does the same. When he reaches the end of the tableau, he starts again from the top, and he skips the cop cycle because, if you remember, the cop cycle begins the game down, and a bot never put influence cubes on a down characters. There are other exceptions like this one. A bot never had influence on a paranoid character, and only 1 cube if the character is helpful. You should also read carefully the bot's card because some of them have special requirements. For example, the cyborg bot never had influence on officers. And voila, here are the blue, yellow and purple bot conspiracies. Your own conspiracy, of course, is empty like in a standard game, and you'll have to build it from scratch. And we are ready to play the first game turn. As red player, I am the first player, so I play my turn as if I were playing against real players. I can reveal, add influence, activate any character, but not the bot's main characters because they are revealed. Easy, for me, nothing changes. Then, this is the second player's turn, Bluebot, the Colonel. Of course, he skips the reveal phase because he is already revealed. Next, influence phase. Usually, bots do nothing during the influence phase. They already have their conspiracy and play with it. There are exceptions, but we will see them later. And now, this is the activation phase. And the big question is, what does Bluebot do? Bot actions are driven by their script. Blue player is the Colonel, and there is a Colonel script card. Every possible bot in the game has his own script card. And we use these script cards for each bot instead of their identity cards. So, this is Bluebot's turn. We look at the Colonel script card. It looks like a computer program, and it almost is. This is an algorithm that tells you what Bluebot player will do. Be careful, because it's easy to get confused. This algorithm decides what blue player does, not only his Colonel character. This is the Colonel script because blue player's main character is the Colonel, but following this algorithm, Bluebot player will also activate other characters from his conspiracy, like any real player would do. Never confuse the bot player with his main character. Okay, so let's see on an example what it looks like. There are 6 lines on the Colonel script. We start with line number 1 and we try to comply with it. There is 2 parts in this line. The first one, between brackets, tells who can do this order, what character from the bot player's conspiracy. And the second part, after the brackets, tells what this character has to do. So, first line, no need to understand the strange symbols between the brackets. Let's just look at the second part, the what. Transmit the secret X data to offsite. There are 4 characters in blue bot player's conspiracy, 4 characters that blue player can activate, but none of these 4 characters owns the secret X data. So none of them can meet the demand of line number 1. So we skip line number 1 and go directly to line number 2. This time, the action to be taken, the what, seems doable. manufacture the secret X data and then walk to the array control section. In order to do that, a character must walk to the biolab where the manufacture action is available, then perform this manufacture action, then walk to the array control. Okay, easy. Any live character in the station can do that. So, let's see the who part between the brackets. First, there is a prerequisite. Technically, this is not about who can do the action, but still it's here between brackets. It's easy to understand. This means no secret X data already in any offsite. Of course, if the secret X already reached the Earth, there is no need to send it again. Here, let's say that there is no secret X data, neither in the authorities nor in the news. Fine. Second bracket, and here is a symbol you must understand because you will find it on any script card. It is in two parts. First, the small clock. The clock means is there a character able to do the required action within this turn? Beware, the required action is the main one, the one before the word then. So here it is manufacture a secret X data. Thus, the translation of the clock condition in plain language is there a character able to manufacture the secret X data within this turn? Here, the legal robot and the consort robot both needs two actions just to reach the biolab, so they cannot manufacture the data this turn. The Daredevil could do that, but she doesn't belong to Blue Player's conspiracy, so Blue Bot player cannot activate her. We cannot comply with the clock condition. So let's see the second part of the condition, the checked out A symbol. It means choose any character that is not exhausted. This part is far easier to comply with. The legal robot, the consort, and even the colonel himself can be chosen. Okay, but which one of them? When there's still a choice about which character to activate, first you choose the closest one, the one who can do the required action with the shortest move, the closest without any free action. Then, if there's still a tie, the closest one with free action. In our example, it is not enough. Again, there is still a tie. Both the legal robot and the consort are 2 sections away from the biolab. Then, non-exhausted characters have priority. Then, if possible, we choose the main character. Here, the colonel is not one of the 2 tied characters. Then, we choose the character with the most influence cubes. This one will work. The consort has 4 influence cubes. Perfect. The consort is activated, and according to the script line number 2, he moves twice toward the biolab. End of Blue Player's turn. And as you see, an activated character doesn't have to perform the script line to the end. He just has to begin the action and go as far as he can. The consort doesn't manufacture the secret X data, but he moves toward the biolab where he'll be able to do that later. Note that had there still been a tie, we should have chosen the first character in the tableau, beginning with the main character, the colonel, then left to right, top to bottom. Note also that because he just entered the biolab, the consort gets contaminated. Okay, let's take another example. Next player, yellow bot player, the chimpanzee. We take his script card, line number 1. When there is a character symbol between the brackets, that means that only this character can perform this command. Okay, so only the chimpanzee. Then, there is a crossed out helmet symbol. That means that this character must not own a helmet. In our example, the chimpanzee owns a helmet, thus it doesn't comply with the prerequisite. We jump to the next line, line number 2. This time there is no chimpanzee symbol between the brackets, so this can be any character from Yellow Bot's player's conspiracy. But there is the word plus target. What is this target? Look, it is defined on the top of the script. The target is the briefcase, and if the condition is not valid with the briefcase, it can be tried again with the artifact. That's what the greater than symbol means. We first try with the briefcase, then with the artifact. Okay, so the bracket means that only a character who owns the briefcase or the artifact can comply with the prerequisite. In our example, there is none, so next line. Line number 3, same brackets, no one complies, next line. Line number 4, only the chimpanzee can do it. If he can in only one turn or if he is not exhausted. He is not exhausted, so that's okay. Let's see the required action. Walk toward the target. The target is first the briefcase, then the artifact if the briefcase is not available. Fine. Yellow bot player activates the chimpanzee, and then the chimpanzee walks toward the briefcase. He must use the shortest path, and because he has the tunnel rat ability, he can move through the vent. And with the zero bound capability, this first move is free. Then, 2 standard moves, and that's it. He reaches the briefcase section. You see, it's not so difficult. It's like a simple programming language. Just a last example to be sure you understand the main prerequisite, the one you'll see everywhere, the clock and the crossed out A symbol. According to the player order, after yellow bot, purple bot plays his turn, and then back to me, red player. And then let's jump right to blue bot's turn, the colonel, line number 1. No character has the secret X data, so line number 2. Back to the good old symbol, the small clock means that if a character is able to do the action within this turn, this character is selected. Here, the consort can manufacture the secret X data right now with only one action. So, he is selected even if he is exhausted. And note also that when there is the word then in the command, only the part before the word then is used to decide who will be activated. The consort is activated because he can manufacture the data within one turn, even if he cannot move toward the array control the same turn. Okay, you know the basics of script reading. Now let's see some details and special cases. And first, the golden rule of Stationfall scripts. As a player, you must never take any decision or make any choice. All scripts must be 100% deterministic. For example, we've already seen that if you can choose between several characters, there's a list of criteria that determine which character wins the tie. But there are other times when choices are to be made. For example, the security robot is a bot player. Line number 1, the security robot itself must attack a target. The definition of what is a target is given above, any character with a gun or a briefcase or an artifact. Okay, but 2 characters that the security robot can attack have a gun, so who's the target? We need a default order. But the one we already have is for a character to activate. Here, this is something completely different. We must decide who will be the security robot's target. So first, never forget that any command in a script includes movement to reach it. Here, the command is to attack, but first the security robot must move to its target. And so the first criterion is that it always chooses the closest target. Here, both the astrochimp and the colonel are one section away, so there's still a tie. Then the bot tries not to shoot anyone belonging to his own conspiracy. He looks for the target with the least cubes of his own color. Let's suppose the security robot is blue player, no blue cubes on any target, this is still a tie. Then he chooses a target that belongs to a real player conspiracy. In this example, I am red player and I am the only real player, all others are bots. So, the security robot chooses the astrochimp as his target. He moves with one step action, then he shoots the chimpanzee. Had there still been a tie, he should have chosen by reverse tableau order, the furthest from him in the characters tableau. A bot can also have to choose a section. Let's suppose in this example that the security robot has nobody to attack and neither the artifact nor the briefcase are available to be picked up. So we jump to line number 4. The security robot must sabotage a section. He has an integral gun, so he can do that. According to the script, he must sabotage a section with a section action. There is no section action attached to the aft hub, so he must choose another target, but which one? First, he must choose the closest one. There are 4 adjacent sections with a section action. Okay, then he must choose a zero gravity section, pink or green. This removes the therapy garden. Then, any pod with the most occupants in it. Here, none of the available sections are pods. Next criterion, the first section in the classic reading order, left, right, top, bottom. Sometimes, which section is above the other is not graphically obvious, so I propose you always consider the section names tag. The security robot thus chooses the machine shop, he moves there and sabotages. This same section selection order is also used when choosing a path toward a target. In this example, the counselor as a bot must play, and let's suppose that lines 1 to 4 are not applicable. So, he tries to implement script line number 5. He must walk toward an escape pod. He must select the destination pod, first criterion, all pods are equally close to him, second criterion, all pods are zero gravity, third criterion, the pod with the most occupant, fine. The target is the Houdini pod with the astrochimp already inside. The counselor walks toward this pod, but there are 2 possible ways. Does he move through the machine shop or through the reactor? Easy, we use the priority list again and we go down to the 4th point. With its 2 actions for his turn, the counselor steps into the machine shop, then into the aft airlocks. And what about the free pickup action? When a bot activates a character from his conspiracy, this character can use a free pickup action as if he was activated by a real player, but how does it work? Let's take our counselor bot example back again, but this time there is a gun in the machine shop and the billionaire is down in the aft airlocks with his dog Fletcher in his inventory. As we know, following his script line number 5, the counselor must step to the machine shop, then to the aft airlocks. And the rule is that, if at any time during his turn he can use his free pickup option, he must do so. Okay, but the words "at any time during his turn" are crucial. They mean that the character doesn't pick up the first item he can. No, he must consider all items he can pick at the beginning, in the middle, or at the end of his turn. Here, the counselor can pick up the gun in the machine shop, but he can also pick up the dog Fletcher in the billionaire's inventory because the billionaire is down. Fine, but what item does he choose? Here is the priority list for items. Fletcher is a purple item, the gun is a red item, thus the counselor chooses Fletcher. A character never free picks up an item he already owns in his inventory, and if he gets another kind of free action, with the scientist or the zero-born ability, for example, this other action has priority over the pickup action. Note that all choices made during a character's turn take into account only the situation at the start of the turn. If we take the same example back again, but slightly different, we should say, okay, the counselor can use his free pickup to take the helmet in his inventory, then because he doesn't fear fire anymore, he can follow the section priority list and walk through the burning machine shop up to the aft airlock. But no, because he must choose the path he will follow at the beginning of his turn. And at this moment, he doesn't own the helmet and cannot move through fire. So, he must decide to take the second path through the reactor, and because he must use his free pickup option if possible, he picks up the helmet before to go. That can seem a little weird, but that's how you must follow the bot script. The item priority order you see here is when a character picks up an item. If he must drop an item, the order is the opposite. Also, all characters activated by a bot, that is all characters who follow a script, get the temporary breach ability. For one action, the character can discard an adjacent lock. So, characters under a bot's command are never blocked by locks, and they should take this into account when determining their target and their path. And note that this implies that the same character has not the same capabilities depending on who is activating him, a real player or a bot. And finally, a small point of clarification about eligibility. On this script, the colonel must walk to an escape pod. But whenever a script refers to any element of the game, this element must be eligible. That means that it must be ready to use. Nothing should prevent the character from using it. Any game element that cannot be used is considered as if it does not exist. Here, for example, if the abandoned ship status is not triggered, no pod can be used, and so it's exactly as if there were no pod at all, and the colonel skips his line number 3. The same if the path to a target section is blocked by fire and the character doesn't wear a helmet, or if the target of an attack wears a helmet and the attacking character has only a bludgeon. Note that throwing or dropping a firebomb is considered an attack or a sabotage for eligibility. Okay, up to now we learned the default script, but there are other kinds of scripts. Some characters have a focus script. This is a second script that the character can choose instead of his default script under certain conditions. The chimpanzee runs his focus script instead of his default script if he owns the briefcase and the artifact, or if this is turn 4 or later. The security robot runs his focus script on a die roll, the exact value on the die depending on the game turn. These focus scripts correspond to a change in the character's behavior. If the monkey has already found the shiny items he was looking for, or if it's becoming too late, he runs to the closest pod to escape the station. And the more time passes, the more violent the security robot becomes. There are also two standard scripts, the same for all characters. These are the revive script and the abandon ship script. And these scripts can be called by the other scripts of the character. For example, on the second line of his focus script, the chimpanzee uses the abandon ship script. This was done to avoid writing the same script on a lot of characters' cards. And if the astrochimp is down at the beginning of his turn, he uses the revive script instead. On some cards, there is an action to execute at the beginning of the turn, before even reading the script. At the start of his turn, the station chief, if possible, must move a character, either a non-revealed officer character or a collocated human, one step toward the closest escape pod. Some cards have an end of turn command. The microbiologist uses all his remaining actions to infect other characters in his section. And this last example brings a necessary clarification. This is the microbiologist bot's turn. Script line number 1, she doesn't have a helmet, so she must pick up 1. She picks up the astrochimp's helmet, and this is possible, of course, because the chimpanzee is down. And remember what we just saw before. When deciding which script line to use, we don't take free pickup into account. So we choose line number 1 for the microbiologist. But when executing the script, the microbiologist uses a free pickup. That means now that she got the chimpanzee's helmet, but she has 2 actions left because she only used a free pickup action. But, and that's the important point here, a bot always executes 1 line of script and then stops. Even if the microbiologist has still 2 actions to use, she doesn't go on with another line of her script. 1 line and that's all for the turn. Okay, but she has an end of turn command. With her 2 leftover actions, she can infect 2 characters with her special infect ability. Fine, and what is this cube symbol in the microbiologist focus script? The script says that a character must launch the pod the microbiologist is in. Okay, but what character? Who will do that? The cube symbol means that if needed, the bot can add influence cubes from his reserve to any character's card to take control of this character, activate him, and do the action. In other words, for this script line, the bot can consider any characters even out of his conspiracy. Let's see on this example when adding new cubes can be required. Remember, when choosing which character to activate, the order of priority is this one. And because the cube symbol allows us to consider characters even outside the bot's conspiracy, Purple Bot's player, the microbiologist, must consider all characters, even the legal robot who doesn't belong to our purple conspiracy. So first, who is the closest character? Closest to what? Closest to a section where he can launch the escape pod the microbiologist is in. Here there is a tie. The microbiologist can do a time launch action from where she is, distance 0. But the legal robot can also do a section launch action from where it is, distance 0 also. Next, a non-exhausted character. And this time there's a difference. The microbiologist is exhausted while the legal robot is not. So, the legal robot will do the action. As allowed by the script cube symbol, Purple Bot player adds his 2 influence cubes from his reserve to the legal robot, making it a new member of the purple conspiracy. And that's it, Purple Bot player activates the legal robot who launches the pod. The microbiologist escapes safely to the Earth. Now we can summarize how bots player use their influence. We already know that each bot player adds 2 cubes on 3 characters at the beginning of the game. And we just saw that a cube symbol in a script allows the bot player to add cubes if needed during the activation phase. Note that no real player can do this. Only bot players can add influence cubes out of the influence phase. But still, a bot can also add influence cubes during regular influence phase. But only if at the start of his influence phase, he has only 1 live character in his conspiracy. In this example, this is Blue Bot player's turn. A lot of characters are down, and Blue Bot player has only 1 live character in his conspiracy, the legal robot. Thus, during his influence phase, he adds cubes on the next character in the tableau that he can add to his conspiracy starting from his own position, he is the colonel. The legal robot, no, it already belongs to his conspiracy. The chimpanzee, no, he is a player's character. The stranger, the consort, the daredevil, no, they are all down and a bot player never adds cubes on a down character. We must follow the standard bot influence rules. The microbiologist, no, she is a player character. The station chief, no, because Blue Bot player has only 2 cubes left in his reserve, not enough to get the station chief in his conspiracy. And finally, he plays 1 cube on the digital assistant, who now belongs to his conspiracy. Only 1 cube because the digital assistant has the helpful capability. And finally, it can happen that on his turn, a bot player doesn't find any line of his script that he is able to play. It is a rare occurrence, but it can happen. In such a case, instead of activating any character, the bot player does a renegotiation action. He gets his activation token back, he gets all his cubes back from the betrayal box if any, he gets all his cubes back from all down or annihilated characters, and finally he takes his cubes back from his last conspirator in the tableau order. And that's it. Renegotiation cleans up the bot's conspiracy to give him a new reserve of influence cubes. And voila, we are very close to the end of this video, but let's look at a few more miscellaneous rules about bots and their scripts. So, what is so specific about bot players? As we already know, they start the game already revealed. They have an influence limit of 8, so they never lose victory points because of their influence cubes. They don't have a Bitcoin, they cannot bribe anyone. They can pick up compromats, especially with their free pickup action, but they never use them. In other words, they mainly prevent real players from using compromats. If a real player finds a bot player's compromat, he can use it, but the bot player will always decline. The same for bitcoins. So that means that a bot player prefers to become a suspect than to obey a threat or a bribe. Bots activated characters have the breach ability, and they never drag down characters when moving. Fine, here is roughly all you need to play with bots, and these screens will be added to my player aids that you can download from the Board Game Geek Stationfall webpage. Et c'est fini les amis, this is the end of my 7 video series. I fear I have nothing more to teach you, and I can say that you know enough to play an interesting game with your friends right now, a game free from the southern mistakes that beginners make. Allez, I let you enjoy the wonderful modern immersion game that is Stationfall. Salut les amis et à très bientôt chez Jean-Michel Grosjeu.